Alright everyone, here's what we're dealing with. Every assault we made on the enemy base has been repelled. Because of that, we need to fight fire with fire. We'll use a flying machine to... Yep, you read the title right. Managed to make a working tank in Minecraft. Yeah, the reason too I decided to build a tank next, like after the machine gun, is because too most of my redstone creations are actually inspired by real life. Like most of my redstone creations, I'm getting these ideas from World War One. Cause see too, I realized too, it's like okay, like before I gotta walk before I can run. Before I can make fully autonomous, AI driven redstone weapons in Minecraft, all hooked up to redstone computers, can you work fully autonomously and all of that. Realize too, I've actually got to build practical redstone weapons first that they're actually player operated. Before I can make all before I can make fully autonomous weapons practical, I have to make weapons that augment the player's ability practical first before I can replace players. And because of that, I got to this tank, which, like I said, was inspired by World War One. Yeah, most of my redstone creations here came from World War One. That's the first I guess I've always thought it was a transition war. It's because it's the first war where so much weaponry was first introduced. It always gets overshadowed by World War Two, which. Okay, yeah, there definitely are reasons for that, obviously. But it's there actually were some major things that happened in World War One too. For example, too, the reason too I decided to on artillery first because partially because redstone artillery, TNT cannons and whatnot have existed for almost a decade at this point in Minecraft. But it's but also too because artillery caused the most amount of casualties during World War One. It was the most effective redstone weapon on the battlefield, and naturally that's what I decided to choose first. But then also too, after that, that's also why I then proceeded to invent the redstone machine gun, because it's the reason too in that World War One was almost entirely trench warfare, and what actually made artillery so deadly during World War One was the fact that everyone was stuck in trenches from the machine guns. So naturally, I ended up building that too. And then also, and while those were the two main things, the two inventions that came in later in the war, in the second half of it, were first, flying machines, planes and whatnot. And I guess my redstone creation is more comparable to a blimp, but you get what I mean, yeah. It's blimps were eventually used to, actually drop bombs and whatnot, which, as you saw, was where I got this. So then, naturally, I decided to round it all up by building two, the final, redstone what am I talking about now? I decided by building the final redstone weapon, that was invented during World War One, and that being the tank, Because now this thing actually has, a genuine use now. First off, too, in all reality, it's kind of ironic. I built a counter to my machine gun just 2 weeks after I invented it. But yeah, it's partially what this is meant to be, just like it was during World War One. It's because arrows can't pierce to barriers in Minecraft, so it's these trap doors will keep you completely safe for any arrow fire. But saying will be said too for if someone's trying to shoot you too, with just a traditional arrow, with a traditional bow or crossbow or trident. But also, too, obviously, this was the bigger advantage of both my redstone creation here, but also too oh, okay, like weaponry in World War One too. You just continuing the analog. But okay, like the bigger advantage of the tank here, of my tank, why is that? Oh, I could bring like the machine gun to the enemy. It's like before too, it was completely stationary. Like, granted, it could be moved relatively quickly, but still, like it's gotta stay. It's still stuck stationary like this. You can't be like, oh, chasing after the enemy or like directly bringing it towards the enemy. You gotta like tower up like 20 blocks into the air and then build this platform and then build all of this, which isn't the most unreasonable thing, but it's really only helpful defensively than it is like offensively. Well, here though, nope, I can bring the machine gun straight to you. Yep, okay, it's not gonna have as much ammo as that one, but still, like, I could bring, yeah, like, still, like, I could bring all that firepower towards the enemy. Like, oh, I could stay on the offensive. Like, I don't gotta, like, oh, just wait for the enemy to come to me. I could send some, go to them. And, what was I also thinking of? Oh, yeah. Why you're decently well protected and also too could bring firepower towards the enemy. Next up too, yeah, I realized too, it's like the main problem with this I realized that it's like, oh, okay, it was really arrow fire, like, also too, I need like some defense against dudes, just like, oh god, player, just like flying, like towering up and then breaking stuff, just like reaching down here. Why, because of that too, ended up adding to honeycomb down here. I realized too that it's like, okay, I could make it out of like, like netherite blocks because those are like the most durable. Realize too though that's just too expensive. Like that takes so long to get any amount of to get a netherite block. So like spending it too on just even for a tank, it's like it just seems unreasonable. It's like building. It's like almost as bad as like building a real world tank out of platinum. It's because of that too. I built it out of honeycomb. Now this honeycomb, like it'll just, like it's not the best defense, but still, like there's no effective like a tool in Minecraft that can easily bind through. There's no tool that speeds up your ability to mine through like honeycomb in Minecraft. So it's like no matter what the player does, it's always gonna take them a little bit to mine through, and it's the deepest dirt too. Like, oh, okay, just need a bee farm, and then boom, you got it. Got huge amounts of honeycomb. What else? Yeah, I was too, obviously. I made it too, like, as easy as possible to, like, stop and start the tank, too. Just gotta throw this trident and then hit the target block in the back to start it up. And then, use, like, the whole, like, powdered snow thing I use in all my redstone creations in order to easily stop it, too. Well, that's about it. Like that is a mobile redstone weapon. Yeah. Now let me show you how to actually build my tank. First step, you need to build the engine. It's a pretty simple flying machine engine. It's just like 2 honey blocks there. And then observer with then like a normal piston. Make sure it's a normal piston. Like on bedrock, whenever you're building a flying machine, you should always start off to the normal piston. Then, otherwise it's just gonna like go in random directions and not be controllable. But then place the sticky piston here. Like it's gonna push and then it's gonna pull. Push forward and then pull the back forward. Like, pull the back towards it. That's how all flying machines work in Bedrock. Or, really, in all of Minecraft, honestly. Next, after that, you gotta build actually, you should probably build place 2, obsidian first. Stop this thing from accidentally starting. And then build the stop and start system. As you can see over here, I just placed 2 a dispenser here. I realized too I could use the dispenser instead of a piston. That makes things way easier. And then with the target block on top, just then wrap this honey around it, stop it from like moving away, like to stop it from just like breaking off the machine. Because in Minecraft there's no gravity, it's just gonna be stuck floating in the air. Great. The next step is to build it to like to build all the extension things. It actually moves to like this big segment, which then moves like the whole like player zone and the whole machine gun zone. Next up, let's see. Place 2 white honey blocks here, and then observers facing down. With then, these 2 normal pistons here just start pushing stuff forward. With then, a target block here, and then a dispenser filled with powdered snow. Same as all my other redstone creations. Well, all my other flying machines, I should say. After that, then proceed to build 2, these segments. On this side here, you can build it kind of which side too is the honey block side and which block is the slime block side. You can build it vice versa. Yeah, you're completely different from how I did it. I'm just gonna do the same thing here, because why not? But then, yep. Build 2 these rows too, and then place the observers on top, except for the second one. The second one shouldn't be on top, it should be on bottom, so you got a clear shot towards the target block. As soon as when I actually get these these observers to work with me, yeah, they can be really annoying. Got face the right angle. I totally didn't just make a mistake there. Where the observer is. I totally didn't. Not. Okay, now. Then do the exact same over here. And then line up all the pistons. Along with 2, place the honeycomb here. After that, you can actually get into the segment 2 that the player's actually gonna be staying in. You're gonna get the actual I guess you could say the cockpit of the tank. Next step 2, starting off with build 2 these slime blocks here, with then the honeycomb at the bottom, or actually make sure too there's a space in between this the piston and the platform it's pushing. That same goes true with these ones too in the back. And then place the honeycomb down here. Oh, and then place 2 the trap doors up here, easily flickable on and off to defensive barriers. You could just switch this. And then then you could just immediately switch between I want to fire in that direction and I want to protect against things in that direction. A nice little flap. And let's see. Make sure, dude, you're facing that direction to, then it's, properly boxes you in. Same goes for here. I would recommend, too, when you first start this thing up, you should flick that up. Maintain some level defense. Right from the get-go. Next step. Ooh, this is the most interesting of it all. Build 2 this area too, exact same as the previous one, but then go up and over, right over the player's head, and build 2 out like this, and then you can easily then Okay, actually have this thing like the protecting you. And same goes for this one too. This part's like putting in most of the work. It's like, okay, it's gonna need a break after how much it's carrying the tank. Then, next up, build to this segment. Not really that much interesting for this area. Well, besides the fact that, like, often too, like, where the player's actually gonna be sitting. And keep. Then, after that area, then you're gonna get to the machine gun area. We'll do kind of a U shape like this again. With the honeycomb at the bottom, Oh, we got bees to thank too. Oh, honey's the sponsor for today's video. But then also, you gotta build up like this. Like, okay, they'll hold up all the parts for the machine gun. Stop that from, just breaking off. Oop. Okay, I told him then just accidentally break apart. Now, he didn't say anything. Wait, okay, then dispenser here. Right next to the player. With then, the hopper and then the chest. And our outhouse is probably better. It's probably easier to place it if you just face this direction. Then we're gonna ignore that. Just the whole micro blocks thing. It's okay. The difference how the blocks face. Not actually the difference even blocks itself. I'm gonna lay down now. Yes, then I explain. Okay. Then do kind of like the same thing you did too, like the middle segment there. Like a big old wall behind it. But then also place a hopper by sticking directly into this. Because the problem is you can't make this a double chest. It's like, oh, okay. The problem is when a piston pushes a chest, it kind of just breaks any double chest apart. Sadly, you just can't have okay. I got a double chest when it comes to these flying machines. So you got to use the next best thing, and then a hopper just leading straight into it. Why am I breaking everything so easily? Oh god. Whatever. Now, there's a hopper leading straight into it. Let's see. Then you got this segment. A pretty simple segment, but it is a segment too. You got did I make a mistake here? Okay, that was all good. Okay, then this segment, this is gonna be the redstone clock. It's actually gonna be making the machine gun work, dropping all the crossbows, one durability. And that just being place an observer there, and whenever you want to actually start the machine gun, well, just place the other observer there. It'll just immediately start. Let's see, did I forget anything? Nope, I'm pretty sure that's it. So, have fun enjoying too. Have fun unleashing 2 tanks in Minecraft, all your destructive armor vehicles. Bye.